Hello and welcome. Please listen up because I'm about to save you from making a complete hash of your Thai banking situation. You have probably watched some fresh-faced influencer telling you to just rock up to any bank with your passport. Absolute codswallop. I have been watching wide-eyed newcomers turned away from Thai banks for months now, clutching their tourist visas like golden tickets that turned out to be chocolate wrappers. After 4 decades in this magnificent madhouse called Thailand, I am here to tell you why your grandfather's banking advice is about as useful as a chocolate teapot. Buckle up because we are diving into the murky waters of Thai banking, past, present, and the myths that will leave you financially stranded. Now then, before you start thinking I'm just another moaning expat, let me establish my credentials. I planted my roots in Thailand back in late 1980, that is right, when dinosaurs roamed the earth and mobile phones were the size of house bricks, if you could afford one. I have been married to my wonderful Thai wife for over 42 years, so I have witnessed this country transform from a sleepy Southeast Asian backwater into the modern, sophisticated nation it is today. Back in the good old days, and yes, they were generally good in some ways. Opening a bank account was, shall we say, more flexible. You could stroll into a bank with little more than your passport, a smile, and perhaps a small donation to the coffee fund. Now, before anyone gets his or her knickers in a twist, this was not corruption. It was simply how business was once done. A modest contribution to the staff coffee fund, maybe 500 baht, was a polite way of saying, thank you for your time and patience. It was cultural lubrication, if you will, and everyone understood the game. However, as I was married, even on the tourist visa, just showed the bank a Thai marriage certificate. Those were simpler times when Thailand was still finding its feet on the global stage. Banks were smaller, more personal, where relationships mattered more than the rigid compliance procedures. The staff knew you, remembered your name, and actually seemed pleased to see you walk through the door. Visa requirements. What visa requirements? Your tourist stamp was often sufficient, especially if you looked respectable and could demonstrate you were not completely penniless. However, here is where it gets interesting, and where most people completely miss the point. These are not really changes at all. They are enforcement of requirements that were always supposed to be there but were simply ignored or applied inconsistently. Thailand has been tightening up its act for years, aligning itself with international banking standards and anti-money laundering protocols in accordance with the Bank of Thailand requirements. The catalyst? The dreaded mule account problem. Now pay attention because this is crucial. Criminal networks were exploiting Thailand's relaxed banking system by recruiting unsuspecting foreigners, often tourists on short-term visitors, to open accounts that would later be used for money laundering, online scams and other financial crimes. These poor sods would open an account legitimately and then hand over their access to criminals for a few thousand baht, thinking they were just helping someone out. The result? Thousands of victims across the globe were scammed through these mule accounts, with the money trail leading straight back to Thai banks. The authorities quite rightly said, enough of this nonsense, and began enforcing the rules which should have been enforced all along. It is not Thailand being difficult, it is Thailand being responsible. So, what has changed practically? Well, your standard tourist visa, whether it is a visa-exempt entry, tourist visa, or even the shiny new DTV, simply will not cut it anymore for opening a bank account. The banks now require evidence of long-term commitment to Thailand. We are talking work visas, retirement visas, marriage visas, education visas, the long-term resident visa, or the elite visa. Something that shows you are not just passing through with potentially dodgy intentions. The documentation requirements have become quite specific too. You will need your long-term visa, naturally, plus supporting documentation depending on your visa type. Work visa holders need their work permit or a letter from their employer. Students need a letter from their educational institution. Marriage visa holders need their marriage certificate. Retirement visa folks need proof of their pension or funds. Then there is the usual suspects, proof of address in Thailand, a Thai phone number, and sometimes additional identification documents. Now, here is where I get particularly irritated with the misinformation floating around social media. These influencers, bless their cotton socks, keep perpetrating advice that is not just outdated, it is potentially harmful. Just try different branches until one says yes, they chirp cheerfully. What utter tosh! You are not shopping for the best mango prices at a market, you are dealing with regulated financial institutions that all follow the same compliance procedures. You can still do it with the tourist visa if you're persistent enough. No, you bloody well cannot. And trying would just waste your time and mark you as someone who does not understand how things work. All you need is your passport, right, and I am the King of Siam. This advice is not just wrong, it is settling people up for disappointment and potentially worse. The consequences of trying to circumvent these rules are not trivial either. Accounts could be frozen without warning if banks suspect irregular activity. There are potential legal ramifications for anyone caught participating in or facilitating mule account schemes, even unknowingly. The Thai authorities take financial crime seriously these days, and ignorance is not considered a valid defence. So, what is my practical advice for newcomers? First, get your visa situation sorted properly before you even think about banking. Research the requirements for your intended visa type, gather all the necessary documentation, and be prepared for a process that might take several visits. Patience, as they say, is a virtue, though I will admit it is one I'm still working on myself. Do not listen to some 20-something influencer who has been in Thailand for 5 minutes and thinks they've cracked the code. The system is not broken, it has evolved. Thailand is no longer the Wild West frontier it once was, and that is actually a good thing for everyone's long-term interests. The evolution is part of Thailand's broader modernisation story. The country is positioning itself as a serious player in the global economy, which means adhering to international financial standards and best practices. Yes, it is less convenient than the old days, but it is also more secure, more transparent, and ultimately more sustainable. The Thailand I fell in love with in 1980 was charming in its casual approach to bureaucracy, but it was so vulnerable to exploitation. Today, Thailand has lost some of that casual charm, but gained something more valuable, legitimacy and security in the global financial system. It is still the same wonderful country with the same warm people, just with better safeguards against the bad actors who were taking advantage of the old system. So there you have it, the truth about Thai banking served up without the sugar coating. The good old days were not necessarily better, just different. Today's requirements are not arbitrary obstacles designed to make your life difficult. They are sensible safeguards protecting everyone involved. Furthermore, if you are planning a long-term stay in Thailand, embrace the new reality rather than fighting it. Get the right visa, prepare your documentation properly, and approach the process with realistic expectations. You might even find that the banks, once you meet their requirements, are actually quite helpful. Just do not expect them to accept coffee money anymore. They are far too professional for that these days. If this has been helpful, smash that like button and subscribe for more no-nonsense Thailand advice from someone who has actually lived through the changes. If you have any questions about Thai banking or visas, drop them in the comments below. I read every single one, and I am always happy to help sensible fellow expats navigate this beautiful but sometimes bewildering country we call home. Take care and goodbye.